Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got this question about, I thought this was a good one to talk about. It's about three guys wanting to start a company because there's a lot of you out there that are probably wanting to start a company. You want to start a company with friends. So I thought I'd answer this. This question comes from Victor. And Victor says, "Hi, John. First, I'm a big fan of your videos. Cool. They are super inspirational, and I feel that I learn something new every time I watch. That's awesome. All right." He says, "I have a question about a framework in C++. I was interested in learning Chromium embedded framework, and I can't really find that much information about it on the web except that Spotify and Blizzard uses it in their Windows clients. Do you have any more information about that framework?" I'm going to skip down. I don't, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But I'll get to the interesting part here. So he says, "I have another question regarding starting your own company. We are three friends, and all of us study computer science on the university, and we are planning on starting our own company on the side of our studies. Our main focus is to develop apps and software services. What do you think about this idea? Do you have any advice? I see that you talk about blogging and branding. You as a person, is there something we can do as a company also? Also, when you graduate from university, would you recommend continuing 100% with our company, or is the best choice to try to get a job at a bigger company directly after our studies, as this time might be the best to get our first job?" Sorry if there are too many questions. So, by the way, when you send me a question, I on the fly translate. If you're not an English speaker, a native English speaker, I translate it into English, into better English. So, if you wonder if your question's been mangled a little bit, it's because I'm trying to read between the lines a little bit here. But anyway, Victor, I'm not saying that to make fun of you, by the way. I think this is a good question. I mean, I'm going to kind of draw a little bit from this question of just this idea of starting a company. You know, three friends want to create an app and service company. I think this is a good idea, but you got to really think this out and plan this out. Like, how are you going to do this? Logistically, how's this going to make sense? I think three is a good number because three is a tiebreaker number, right? Two is sometimes a bad number when you're starting a company, because if you both argue and you both have 50%, then that's things blow up and dissolve. But if you have three, then you've got a tiebreaker. You can have other kinds of issues there, but I think that's a great start. I think this is a good idea. Try this out. Don't put all your eggs in one basket here. This is what I would advise. This is your first time trying out. You're all college students studying computer science, but you might as well give it a shot, and it's going to put something good on your resume, and maybe it'll work out. And then when you get out of school, you can just continue on doing that. But so the question of whether or not you should continue after school comes down to how well this works out. If this works out great and you're making money and you see a future in it, then go for it. I always think in terms of, this is me personally, but I think that working for someone else I view it as an apprenticeship today, right? So you learn, you apprentice with someone, and then you go out on your own. I mean most of the world today is stuck in the apprenticeship stage, and I mean if you want to live there, that's fine. I'm not knocking your way of life, but to me, the real progression is we should do apprenticeship for some time, and then we should go into entrepreneurship. And maybe I stuck in the apprenticeship stage too long. So anyway, I think it's great if you can start out and do that. As far as the branding goes, I do have a lot of information on branding. I would say that you can brand either personally or as a company. It doesn't matter. It's harder to brand as a company than personally. And I've sort of changed my stance on this a little bit. If you're really interested in finding more about, I did a whole course on branding. You can find it here on the How to Market Yourself as a Software Developer course. And you can also find it in my soft skills book, by the way. A little bit of that, but I've sort of changed my view because it's really difficult to brand a company because people don't connect with companies; they connect with people. I've always said it's going to be easier if you personal brand and you can kind of walk the line between the two. But I've got something new that I've been sort of thinking as I've grown Simple Programmer, right? As you've noticed, I have it's not just me anymore, right? I have employees. We're working together, but I am still the face of Simple Programmer. And here's the thing is, so there's also a model where you brand the company, but you have a spokesperson for the company. They're the face of the company. And I think that might actually be the best way to go because you can replace the spokesperson, you can replace the face of the company, right? Whereas if you're just personally branded, you can't replace yourself. You're stuck there. And it allows you to have that kind of connection with a person, right? So that's why you're seeing my face on some of the ads that I've done for Simple Programmer, why you're seeing me doing YouTube videos, and I'm not just making this, a nameless person that's just, sending audio files to you, right? It's all kind of planned at this point, but this has been an evolution. So anyway, I don't want to go too far into that, but I think you're making a good choice. I think you're doing something that's smart, and you just got to see how it plays out, and just make sure you think ahead. I did this video about thinking ahead. Check that out and really think ahead and figure out how it's gonna end and how you see this thing happening and playing out, and decide if you want to devote that time. If you feel like the guys that you are going to group up with and do this are not going to be committed, or that they're going to fizzle out in a short amount of time, don't even waste the effort, right? So that's the other advice I'd give you, is because you don't want to waste your time. Think and play this forward. So anyway, thanks for the question. If you have a question for me, you can email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com. By the way, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you might want to go to the YouTube channel and check out, I'm releasing like 15 videos a week now. You can just go to youtube.com/jsonmez, that's JSONMEZ, or you can search Simple Programmer YouTube. I'm sure you'll find it that way. If you like this video, subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.